Welcome to Motivational Humanity. You are not alone. The person who is lying to you right now is not doing it with silence. They are doing it with their words. And the frightening part is this lies do not sound lies. Lies, they sound normal, reasonable, even caring. But if you listen closely, there are small patterns in language that reveal more than people intend to show. Today, I want to share those patterns with you, because once you hear them, you will never listen to words the same way again. Stay with me. You need to hear this. Welcome, dear one. This space we are in together right now, I want you to think of it as a sanctuary. There is no judgment here, no shaming, only truth and the kind of quiet wisdom that sometimes takes a lifetime to learn. I am a psychologist and emotional intelligence coach, but more than any credential I hold, I am a woman who has spent decades sitting across from people, listening carefully to the stories they tell. And over time, I learned something powerful. Words do not just reveal what someone wants you to know. They also reveal what they are trying very hard to hide. Today, we are going to talk about something that most of us were never taught. Not in school, not in church, not even in the loving families that raised us. We are going to talk about the language of dishonesty. The subtle phrases, the patterns, the psychological fingerprints that often appear when someone is hiding something. This is not about becoming suspicious, everyone you love. It is about giving you something you deserve, clarity, because you have earned that clarity. Every relationship you have navigated, every heartbreak you survived, every moment you trusted your heart and hoped for the best, all of it has been preparing you for this kind of wisdom. But before we go further, I want to ask you something gently. Is there someone in your life right now who sometimes leaves you feeling uneasy? A partner, a friend, a colleague, someone whose words sound fine on the surface, but something inside you still whispers. Something doesn't quite add up. Hold that person softly in your mind as we walk through this together, not with anger, not with judgment, but with discernment. And discernment, dear one, is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. Let's begin with the first linguistic signal. And it is one most people completely miss: distancing language. When someone speaks honestly about their own actions, their language usually contains a simple word: I did this. I said that. I made that decision. But when someone is trying to distance themselves from the truth, something interesting happens. The word I begins to disappear. Instead, you hear phrases like, mistakes were made, things got complicated, the situation got out of hand, it wasn't intentional, noticed something strange. No one is actually doing anything in these sentences. The person has removed themselves from the story. Psychologists call this linguistic distancing. It is the subtle way people separate themselves from responsibility. I once worked with a woman who told me about a conversation with her husband. When she asked him about messages on his phone, he didn't say, I sent them. He said, things just got out of hand. And she looked at me and said something I will never forget. There was no person in his sentence. That moment changed everything for her, because suddenly she realized The language itself was revealing the truth he was avoiding. Now, the second pattern is fascinating because it actually sounds like honesty. It is over explaining. Most of us were taught that when someone gives a lot of details, they must be telling the truth. But deception research shows something surprising. People who are lying often provide too many details. They answer questions you didn't ask. They fill silence with explanation. They elaborate far beyond what the moment requires. Why? Because silence is dangerous for someone who is lying. Silence creates space for questions they cannot answer. Imagine asking someone a simple question. Where were you Tuesday evening? When an honest answer might sound like, I was at book club, got home around 9. Simple. But someone who is hiding something may say, Tuesday, oh yes, Tuesday, I was at book club. We read that novel about the lighthouse. Sandra brought lemon cake. I left around 9, maybe 9:15 because I stopped for gas. You can check the receipt if you want. Do you feel the difference? Real memories are imperfect. Constructed stories are polished. When a story sounds rehearsed instead of remembered, pay attention. Let me pause here for a moment. If something we've talked about already feels familiar, if someone's words are sort of quietly echoing in your mind right now, you are not And if there is one woman in your life who has ever been confused by someone else's words, one friend, one sister, one daughter, consider sharing this conversation with her. Sometimes clarity is the most generous gift we can give. Now let's talk about another powerful signal. Deflection. Have you ever asked someone a clear question and somehow ended up defending yourself instead? You ask, did you tell her what I shared with you? And they respond, why would you even ask me that? Do you not trust me? Suddenly the focus has shifted. Instead of answering the question, they have turned the spotlight onto you. Psychologists call this deflection through counterattack. And it works especially well on kind people because caring people do not want to hurt others. So instead of insisting on an answer, they start apologizing. They say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to accuse you. And in that moment, the original question disappears. The truth slips quietly out the door. But here is a small practice that can change everything. When someone deflects your question, pause, take a breath, then gently return to the original question. I hear that this feels uncomfortable, but I still need an answer to what I asked. That is not aggression. That is self-respect. Another subtle form of dishonesty is minimizing language. It sounds harmless, but it can quietly reshape your perception of reality. You might hear phrases like, it wasn't a big deal. You're overthinking it. Everyone does that. You're making it into something it isn't. Notice what is happening here. The person is not denying the event. They are shrinking it, reducing it. Reframing your concern as an overreaction, this is closely related to what psychologists call gaslighting. Not always dramatic, often very subtle, but deeply confusing. So let me say something clearly. Your feelings are not drama. Your feelings are data. They are signals from your nervous system telling you something deserves attention. A truthful person will clarify, a dishonest person will minimize. Now here is a red flag that can feel wonderful in the moment. Sudden, overwhelming flattery. You are the most understanding woman I know. You have the wisest heart. I would never hurt someone like you. Now, genuine compliments are beautiful. But manipulative flattery has a particular timing. It appears precisely when someone needs you to trust them the most. Psychologists call this ingratiation. It softens your guard, it makes you feel valued, and in that softened moment, you become more likely to accept what you are hearing. The key difference between genuine appreciation and manipulation is simple. Does the warmth feel earned or deployed? Trust that instinct. And finally, we come to the language of almost. The vague promises, the endless future tense. Well, figure it out. I'm working on it. Just give me more time. Things will be different soon. These phrases create the feeling of progress, but often there is no movement. Psychologists call this future tense avoidance, using promises about tomorrow to avoid accountability today. Ask yourself a simple question. Over the last few months, has the behavior actually changed? Not the words, the behavior. Because words are free, actions require truth. So here we are. We have walked through several quiet patterns together. Not weapons, but tools. A compass for moments when something feels confusing, because many women were raised to doubt their perceptions, to prioritize harmony over honesty, to silence the small voice inside them. But that voice was never wrong. It simply lacked language. Now you have that language. Before we part today, I want to ask you one small thing. If there is someone in your life who has been confused by someone else's words, share this with her. Clarity is powerful, and no one deserves to live in confusion. Close your eyes for a moment if you feel comfortable. Take a breath in and let it go slowly. And hear this, you are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You are a woman learning to trust herself. And that quiet trust may be the most powerful wisdom you ever carry. Walk forward with clear eyes and a heart that remains beautifully open. You deserve honesty. You deserve consistency. And above all, you deserve the peace that comes from trusting your own knowing.